Okay, this story goes, a guy and a girl, they're in their late 20s, about 28 years old, and they lived in this house for about 7, 8 years, and their next door neighbor's house is an empty house that's been empty for a good 60, 70 years, no one's lived in it. So, they're sitting there sleeping one night, and the guy, his name is John Peterson, his wife, Samantha Peterson, well, John wakes up one night at about 4 o'clock in the morning to go get a glass of water, and he walks down the stairs to see a moving truck parked in front of the house next door. So he puts his slippers on and he puts on his robe. He runs over to the moving truck and he says, "Sir, who's moving in?" They're like, "We don't know. We were just dropping off the furniture." He goes, "Do you know where they came from?" He goes, "Nope. We picked the furniture up in front of the furniture that was from a furniture store, and we're been told to drop it off at this exact location." So he's like, "Oh, okay, so it's this brand new furniture?" "Yep, from the furniture store, and we're supposed to drop it off here specifically at night." He goes, "Thank you, sir." He goes, "No problem." So he goes back to his house and he tells Samantha, that moving truck down there, the guy said they don't know who the family is or where it's coming from. They was just specifically told to pick it up from a furniture store, drop it off at this location at night. She goes, "Well, maybe they just bought it and dropped, and that's when the furniture store let them drop it off or whatever." And he goes, "I don't know." She goes, "Just get some sleep and maybe tomorrow they'll be over there." So they go to sleep, they wake up the next day, and the furniture's not on the porch where the furniture people left it at. So he walks over there and he knocks on the door and no one answers. So he looks through the window and he sees all the furniture bunched up in the living room. So he goes back to his wife and goes, "Apparently they came here and they put it up, but no one's in there. They like bunched it in." She goes, "Well, obviously they're not able to move in yet, and they didn't want the furniture sitting outside if someone steal it, so they put it inside. Don't worry about it." So he goes, "Oh, okay," and he goes to work. Comes back home that evening, nothing happening with the neighbors. He goes inside, he tells his wife, "Anything happened?" She goes, "Nope, I didn't see anything." He goes, "Oh, okay." Well, it goes to that night. He wakes up again about 5 o'clock in the morning to get a glass of water, and he looks outside, and in front of his neighbor's house, there's an old black vehicle with the headlights on. So he immediately puts on his slippers and his robe. He runs over there, and no one's in the vehicle. He knocks on the door, no one answers the door. He knocks on the door again, no one answers. He's like, "Hello, I'm your next door neighbor. I'm just coming over to see, to meet and greet. Is anyone there? I see your vehicle out here." He knocks again, no one answers. He turns around, the vehicle's gone. He's really scared now, so he runs back to his house. He tells his wife, he wakes her up out of bed, tells her what happened. How he saw a vehicle, he knocked on the door. He turned around and there was no vehicle. She's like, "Well, obviously you're just seeing things. You're tired, you're full asleep. Well, just get some rest." He goes, "No, I know what I saw." She goes, "Just don't worry about it, get some rest." So he's like, whatever. He lays down, goes to sleep. He gets up the next day. There's that black vehicle that he saw that disappeared parked in the driveway of the house. He tells his wife, "That's the vehicle." She goes, "That is weird." He goes, "See, I told you I wasn't dreaming. I told you I wasn't daydreaming or sleepwalking. I saw it. And I saw it disappear." She goes, "Maybe it didn't disappear. Maybe they just, parked or something." He goes, "No, I would have heard it." So he goes over, he knocks on the door, no one answers. He looks in the window, all the furniture is in the living room, but it's all organized and stuff like furniture should be with the tag still on it. He comes back, he tells her, she's like, "Don't worry about it, okay? Just don't worry about it." So he's like, "Okay, whatever." So he goes to work, he comes back home that evening, he's eating dinner, talking to his wife. He goes to sleep that night, about 2 o'clock in the morning, they get woken up to this loud scream. It sounds like a girl screaming. So he's like, "Did you hear that? It's coming from the neighbors." She goes, "Yeah, I hear it." She goes, "You want me to call the police?" He goes, "No, I'm going to go check it out myself." So he goes over there, he knocks on the door, no one answers. He goes to the back door, he knocks, no one answers. The screaming's still going on. Then when he knocks for the third time, the screaming stops. So he's like, "Is anyone there? Hello?" And then, some of those doors have the slide thing, where the slide thing slides open. And this man with a rough sounding voice says, "What do you want?" He goes, "I heard screaming. Is everyone okay over here? I'm your next door neighbor, by the way." He goes, "Everyone's fine. There's just a rat. My wife got scared and she screamed." And he goes, "Okay." And then the guy slams the thing shut and walks up the stairs. He goes back home. He goes, "He's lying. You gotta call the police. Someone's gotta be in that house." She goes, "I'm not gonna call the police. What if he's telling the truth? We don't want to, start problems with our new neighbors." He goes, "No, I'm calling the police." He dials 911. They send over the sheriff. Sheriff knocks on the door. No one answers. He's like, "The sheriff. This is the This is Sheriff Barney from the sheriff's department. Answer now. We have a report from screaming coming from your house. No one answers. They go out back. No one answers. The sheriff sees the cellar door open. He goes down the cellar. He doesn't see anyone or anything, and then all of a sudden the cellar door slams shut. So he pulls out his pistol. He's looking around. He's like, "Hello, hello," and all of a sudden the light flicks on for a second, and he sees this big, tall, deformed man with an axe. The light flips back off, and his leg gets chopped off. His left leg gets chopped off with an axe. He falls to the floor, and he starts crawling towards the stairs to get out when he bumps into somebody. Then the light flicks back on again, and there's this deformed lady standing there with a kitchen knife, and she just laughs, and she stabs it in his shoulder, and he screams. And then an arrow goes through his back and out his stomach from where the deformed guy shot a bow and arrow through his stomach. And then it goes to John about an hour later. John goes over there because the sheriff never came out or came back to his car, and he knocks on the door, and the guy slides that thing open and says, "What do you want?" He goes, "I was just wondering if the sheriff's over here, if I could talk to him." And he goes, "No, the sheriff went out to look in the woods, and he never came back." And John goes, "Okay." Well, John goes back to his house. He's like, tells his wife, they said that the sheriff went to look in the woods, so I'm going to get a flashlight and go look in the woods. She goes, "Okay." So John goes looking through the woods. He doesn't find anything. About half an hour later, he comes back, and the car's gone. He's like, "The sheriff's car is gone?" So he goes inside, he tells his wife. She goes, "I didn't see anything because I've been asleep." He goes, "Well, I'm still a little worried about it." She goes, "Well, tomorrow go to the police department and see if the sheriff's there." So he goes to sleep, he gets up the next day, he eats breakfast, he goes to work. After work, he goes to the police department. They said that Sheriff Barney never showed up for work. He goes, "Well, I went over there and they said he was in the woods, and when I went in the woods looking for him, I came back, his car was gone." She goes, "Well, we called his house, and his wife said he never came home either, so they're worried about him and they were out looking for him." He goes, "I think there's something up with those neighbors. I think we need to send like a deputy over there to check out on them." She goes, "Okay, tomorrow night we'll send a deputy." He goes, "Why tomorrow?" She goes, "Well, because tonight everyone's getting off work today and all the deputies are gone home. I'm the only one home. I'm the only one at the department." He goes, "Okay." So he goes home and he's asleep and he wakes up because he sees a shadow walking in his next door neighbor's yard. He goes down there and he sees a leg covered in blood. So he runs back, he tells his wife, he's like, "I saw this leg covered in blood in their backyard." She goes, "No, you're seeing things, you're dream walking just like the car." She goes, I was not sleepwalking when I saw that car, I really saw it. Just like I saw this leg." She goes with him in the backyard and there's no leg. She goes, "I saw it, I know I did." They go back in the house, they go to sleep, they get up the next day, and he goes to work and everything like normal. He comes back that evening. He calls the police department and asks when they're going to bring a deputy over there. Where they go, "We're sending a deputy now." A deputy goes over there, knocks on the door, says, "If you don't answer the door, we're going to break in because this is the last location of the sheriff and he's gone missing." Well, no one opens the door, so the deputy's like, "I'm going to count to five. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He kicks the door open. He walks in with his pistol, doesn't see anything. He sees all the furniture brand new. And then he sees this man sitting on a chair in front of a table, and his back is facing the deputy. The deputy just says, "Sir, I'm sorry to bother you, but this was the last location seen of the sheriff, and he came to check on you guys because he heard noises from your house, and I was just wondering if you've seen him or anything." And he goes, "I haven't seen anything." And he goes, the deputy says, "Are you sure?" He goes, "Nope, I'm sure, nothing." And he goes, "Well, if you see him or anything like that, please call the sheriff's department and let us know." And he goes, "I will." The deputy walks back out and gets in his car, and John walks over and says, "Did you get a hold of him?" He goes, "Yeah," and he said he didn't see anything, and that if he sees the sheriff or anything, he'll let us know. And he goes, "You're just going to let him off the hook like that? He obviously killed the sheriff. I told you I saw a bloody leg. It could have been the sheriff's leg. I heard screaming. The sheriff went missing over here. No one knows anything about this guy, where he came from or anything. It's about time someone does something." He goes, "I'm sorry, there's really nothing I can do. We don't have any proof that he's done anything wrong." So John's like, "You know what? I'm going to find out myself." So John goes home that night. He goes to sleep. The next night he gets up. The next day he gets up. He goes to work. He comes back home. And he doesn't see anything weird about the neighbors anymore. So that night he's like, "I'm going to find out myself." Well, that night he goes over there. He's peeking around the windows and stuff. And when he sees this deformed man, he actually sees the deformed man's face, and the deformed man sees him. He runs back to his house. He's like, he wakes his wife up. He's like, "Samantha, I saw him. He's deformed. There's something wrong with him. He was standing over. I was covered in blood. He's obviously killed someone. Get up. We got to get out of here. We're going get the police. We're gonna go get some police officers, send them over there. I don't know what's going on, but it looked to me like he killed someone. Because when I looked through the window, I saw the sheriff laying down dead on the table. She goes, "Are you sure?" He goes, "I swear, we gotta get out of here." As he goes down to go outside and get into his car, as he walks out, as he opens his front door, he sees the deformed man standing right in front of the door. He slams the door in his face, locks it, and he runs back into the living room where his wife is, and she's laying down, stabbed to death, dead. He takes a few steps back and he bumps into the deformed man, and then he backs up against the wall, and the deformed man takes a kitchen knife and slowly pokes it in the middle of his stomach. Well, he screams and then he faints and like passes out, and then he wakes up and he's in a hospital. And the deputy that checked on the deformed guy comes up to him and he's like, "John, I just wanted to let you know that you're getting ready to be under arrest after you get out of the hospital." And John's like, "What? Why?" And he goes, "Well, you was brutally attacked, yes, but you did it by yourself, and you've been blaming it on these neighbors of yours, which you have no neighbors. That house has been empty for the past 76 years. You brutally killed the sheriff. You brutally killed this young girl named Brianna, and you brutally killed your wife. And there's all 100% proof that you did it, and you're going to be under arrest for murder." And he's like, "I didn't do anything. You don't believe, you don't understand. There is neighbors next door, and they did it. They're just not existing. It's like a ghost or something." And he goes, "No, there's nothing. I don't know what you've been talking about to your wife all the time. There's nothing. And you're the one who committed all these murders." And then it shows them putting him in the back of the cruiser, and it cuts to the neighbor's house. And in a flicker, you see the deformed man and the deformed lady standing in front of that yard, and then it flickers off, and that's how it ends.